Vice Premier He Lifeng arrives in Downing Street and is set to hold first meeting of the China-US Trade Consultation Mechanism. Number 1 typhoon warning signal may be issued as early as tomorrow night as a tropical cyclone nears the city. And heavy military presence is seen in downtown Los Angeles after days of immigration protests. Good evening, you're watching Cable News. I'm Quentin Yang. In Britain for a 6-day visit, Vice Premier He Lifeng is set to meet with U.S. trade representatives for the first bilateral economic dialogue since both nations agreed to a 90-day tariff truce last month. Analysts expect the closed-door talks to focus on de-escalating trade disputes, with Washington likely pushing Beijing to ease export controls on rare earths. Evelyn Bai reports.
Arriving in London yesterday, he first met with UK Chancellor Rachel Reeves this morning, with both sides seeking to deepen bilateral financial cooperation. The meeting served as a prelude to the pivotal China-US dialogue under their new consultation mechanism. He led the Chinese delegation against his US counterparts, including Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, and Trade Representative Jamieson Greer. Though details remain undisclosed, White House economic advisor Kevin Hassett signaled that Washington would push Beijing to restore exports of critical minerals, like rare earths and magnets, to pre-April levels. The U.S. also aims to address its trade deficit with China, which Hassett labeled a primary motive for tariffs. He contended China only wants to sell to the U.S. to boost domestic jobs. This stance clashes with Beijing's position, as state-run Xinhua Agency criticized the U.S. deficit argument as a false narrative, arguing that Washington's pan-securitization of trade, politicizing economic issues, is the core obstacle. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
Meanwhile, in light of the trade disputes between China and the United States, foreign trade on the mainland continued to grow at a slower pace in May, trailing behind expectations. May's exports in U.S. dollar terms rose 4.8% compared to the same month last year, marking the third consecutive month of a slowdown in the growth rate and missing the consensus forecast of a 6% increase. Exports to the U.S. plummeted by 34%, marking the largest drop in over 5 years. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations remained the most significant destination for Chinese exports, but saw the growth rate slowing down to 14%. Meanwhile, exports to the European Union increased 12%. Imports, on the other hand, fell by 3.4%. The monthly drop was larger than that of April and was the third one in a row. Hong Kongers were told to brace for standby signal number 1 as early as tomorrow night or Wednesday morning as the tropic cyclone is developing. The broad area of low pressure over the central part of South China Sea is expected to develop into a tropical cyclone gradually over the next 2 days, says the observatory. Depending on the cyclone's distance from the city and its speed, the weather watchdog may consider upgrading it to a higher signal by Wednesday evening or Thursday. Meanwhile, a persistent anticyclone aloft has brought very hot weather today, with mercury hitting 34.3 degrees Celsius in the urban areas, marking the hottest day so far this year. However, as the tropical cyclone approaches, strong winds and occasional thunderstorms are expected later this week. The King Parrot Group, a well-established local catering company, is suspected of closing all its restaurants after serving local foodies for over 3 decades. A group of employees have filed complaints with the Labor Department, demanding unpaid severance and termination payments. Initial estimates suggest nearly $2 million is owed, but the company's management remains unreachable. Jeremy Zhu reports.
Around 30 employees from the group's restaurants gathered at the Labor Department to seek help. The workers were from the group's Shanghai-style restaurant in Meifu and the German restaurant in Chanshawan. One restaurant manager said she and many colleagues had not received their mandatory Provident Fund contributions since November. The company reportedly assured them it would handle the paperwork, but no resolution was provided. Lawmaker and chairman of the Federation of Hong Kong and Kowloon Labor Unions, Lam Chun Sing, said some workers had received their wages either in cash or by check, but were unsure if the checks would clear. He added that signs of trouble emerged as early as May, when staff were told to avoid overtime and not to claim overtime pay. Since last Friday, multiple restaurants of the group abruptly closed, with employees dismissed on the spot. Founded in 1992, the group once operated over 20 dining brands, specializing in mid to high-end cuisine. Taking to the airwaves, chairman of the Hong Kong Federation of Restaurants and Related Trades, Simon Wong, said over 100 employees had sought assistance from his federation. He noted that mid to high-end restaurants are struggling, with some seeing a 60 to 80% drop in business, while more affordable eateries have performed slightly better, urging the government to provide targeted support for the industry. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
The government proposed cutting the budget for traffic accident victim assistance after seeing the funding doubled, sparking concerns among lawmakers over a drastic reduction. Evelyn Bai shares more.
During a panel meeting at the Legislative Council, the Social Welfare Department revealed that, in recent years, the payout of the Traffic Accident Victims Assistance Scheme has surged from around $297 million to nearly $492 million. Acting Secretary for Labor and Welfare Ho Kai-meng warned the fund could deplete in 7 years if expenditure continues rising while income stays flat. To ensure sustainability, the department proposed to merge two similar subsidies, the injury grant and the interim maintenance grant, into a new compassionate grant, with each eligible applicant receiving an average of $330 per day, down from $918 per day. The maximum aid per individual will also be drastically reduced from $165,000 to $19,800. Lawmaker Chow Siu-chung argued that the $330 assistance is barely enough for one individual's daily living, questioning how it can support an entire family if the victim is the family's sole wage earner. In response, Ho said, if victims feel the aid is not enough, there are 4 additional funds available for immediate assistance without asset checks. Regarding the rising expenditure, lawmaker Teck Chi-yun urged the SWD to consider the underlying issues. Ho attributed the escalating costs to a surge in aid applications, including suspected fraud, as currently the scheme would not conduct asset checks, regardless of the elements of fraud leading to the accident. The proposal will be handed out to the Finance Committee for further discussion. Evelyn Bai, Cable News.
Hong Kong Express, Hong Kong Airlines, and 13 other local and regional carriers are prepared to move in the newly expanded Terminal 2 of the Hong Kong International Airport, as the terminal will start operations as early as next March, catering to the needs of budget-conscious and tech-savvy travelers. Wayne Yan, Acting Deputy Director of Airport Operations of the Airport Authority, confirmed airlines have been formally notified and will operate from T2 in phases. They are expected to handle 1,500 million passengers initially, about 20% of the airport's annual passenger traffic. Yang highlighted T2's focus on efficiency and youth appeal. Strategically located next to the airport express station, travelers can reach both Terminal 1 and 2 within dozens of meters, after train doors open on both sides. Departing passengers will check in at the main terminal before a quick 2.5-minute automated people mover ride to the satellite concourse near the 3rd runway, eliminating concerns about missed stops or navigation errors, Yuan said. He also noted that the terminal's design diverges sharply from T1's business classical style by embracing a vibrant concept similar to the K11 Mall in Tsim Sha Tsui. Meanwhile, the terminal's first phase, an indoor coach hall with 41 parking bays, will open on September 23rd, easing congestion at T1's Car Park 4. Tensions in Los Angeles, United States kept on escalating as protests against immigration raids turned violent, with all downtown demonstrations now declared unlawful assemblies and police deployed to disperse crowds. Meanwhile, the Chinese consulate in the western U.S. city has issued a safety alert, urging nationals to take precautions. Jeremy Zhu reports.
Hundreds gathered outside a Los Angeles detention center, where police and newly deployed National Guard forces used tear gas and rubber bullets to break up protests. Demonstrators faced off against Guard troops armed with shields and rifles, some launching fireworks at officers. Some were arrested. The protests expanded as more joined, with some blocking highways and setting cars ablaze. The City of Angels saw its third consecutive day of rallies against expanded immigration enforcement, with parallel demonstrations in San Francisco. President Donald Trump has ordered 2,000 National Guard personnel to address the unrest, with 300 already stationed across 3 LA districts. This marks the first time since 1965 that a U.S. president has deployed National Guard troops without a state governor's request, a move condemned as an overreach of power that further inflamed protesters. Defending his decision, Trump cited ongoing violence in LA and pledged a tough response, though he ruled out invoking the Insurrection Act for now.
Even if you're not planning to invoke the Insurrection Act, you still plan to send troops?
Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden and his auto pen.
Meanwhile, U.S. Northern Command confirmed 500 Marines are on standby to restore order. California Governor Gavin Newsom demanded the National Guard's withdrawal and appealed for calm amid the deepening crisis. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
Now let's take a look at the stock market. The Hang Seng Index ended strongly, up 388 points. Top active stocks of the day, Tracker found up 34 cents, while BYD down $6.40. Meanwhile, Kuaishou was up $3.30 and Xiaomi was up $1.05. On to the weather now, mainly fine and very hot during the day. The temperatures will be ranging from 28 to 34 degrees in the urban areas and a couple of degrees higher in the new territories, apart from isolated showers later. And that's our news tonight. I'm Quentin Yan. Thank you for watching. Good night.